You think war is just about missiles and explosions? Think again. Welcome to TikTokenomics. Economics on you guessed where. But not Western-centric economic analysis. That's my selling point without the Western spin. As you know, Iran just learned the brutal mathematics of modern warfare, and the numbers are staggering. When the 12-day tussle with Israel ended on the 23rd of this month, Iran didn't just lose military or defense assets, they lost billions indirectly in their economy. People fleeing Tehran, the capital, for example, and a number of other cities in the center and the west of the country, especially after Trump warned them to flee Tehran and other places in a ex-Twitter post. That's the world we now live in, right? The US president tells people in another country's capital just flee, run for their lives on ex-Twitter. Yeah, that's the kind of panic. That's the kind of panic that causes mass disruption to an economy, as well as lives, of course. They're all interlinked. The exact numbers are tough to find, especially from reliable sources, because we are looking at the non-West here. Iran especially is not well known for excellent, accurate, centralized reporting that it shares with Western English-speaking sources. Some Western sources, though, the best I have, say, likely spectacular overestimates, by the way, but they say 6% roughly of Iran's GDP has been lost in terms of indirect losses, in terms of amount of money. This is not to say the GDP is dropped by 6%, but saying $30 billion US-ish is the figure that Iran has lost directly combined with indirectly in this conflict with Israel. And that's about 6% of their total GDP. Iran, already crushed under decades of Western sanctions, couldn't afford this hit. What about their adversary? Well, I'll make another video for that later today. The country, though, we're talking about Iran here, has paid a high price for choosing not to bow down to the United States and its regional allies, for choosing not to fall in line. Was it worth it? Depends who you ask, and I'll leave you to decide the price you or anyone else should be willing to pay for freedom and independence for your country. Now back to the economics. Iran's oil exports plummeted as the US and Israeli strikes targeted energy infrastructure in the second half of the 12-day tussle. Oil exports to China and many other states, in particular in the global south, make up around 30% of Iran's state revenue. Just oil exports alone make up a third, right? That's about as much as is made from taxing the 90 million strong population, citizens, businesses, everything. That's 30%, and then oil by itself is 30%. So it's a big fat chunk of the state revenue. So when these facilities, these oil refineries, the South Pars gas field, when these were hit by the Israeli state, it was a big hit to the Iranian economy. Furthermore, it's currently not known how the hit to Iran's civilian nuclear facilities will affect the economy. Right, that tech is likely to be a net loss. To be fair, to the state anyway. It's something, the nuclear technology facility is something that costs the state money rather than something that makes the state a net profit. And rebuilding what has been destroyed might open up new jobs, but that will also cost the state money because it'll be state run, the infrastructure, and it'll be state money that needs to be put into rebuilding the facilities. So, it's a mixed bag, but generally it's probably a net loss, right? That's what happens when your infrastructure is hit by an adversary in open conflict, right? In kinetic warfare. Combining this with the fact that Iran may actually accelerate their civilian nuclear program, though, potentially shifting it to openly, publicly working on defense as well. This might all actually be a lot of economic activity. It might be a net gain for the civilians, the population seeking high-paying jobs in the energy sector. But where's the state going to pay for it? That remains the question. Where's the state going to get the money? Right? Are they going to have to borrow it? Who knows? But here's what's devastating. This isn't just about money. Iran's fiscal crisis is deepening social problems. People will struggle with daily blackouts and poor job opportunities more now than before. And before it was already bad. But economics is tied to social fabric in a nation. Every country, every economy is beholden or is affected significantly by the population we are talking about in the part of the world we are talking about. For Iranians, who are more used to hardship and economic strain than most people in the region anyway, due to those same Western sanctions I mentioned earlier, imposed upon them 50 years 50 years almost of sanctions. For the Iranian state to have stood up to the US and its allies may have been worth it in the eyes of many. For many Iranians, their state did not back down when faced with injustice and what Iranians see as an unprovoked, devastating attack in practice and in symbolism, in terms of attacking Iran's sovereignty, flying jets over their capital, etc., etc. The state is now more stable. The government is now more supported. The population is more galvanized than ever before, more united, and with the whole Muslim world kind of behind them, right? At a citizen level, if not at a state level, the Muslim world are cheering Iran on for standing up to Western bullying and injustice. Iran has come out of this, therefore, in summary, economically bruised. It's without a doubt the case. But diplomatically, and in terms of state privilege, in terms of the optics on the nation, in the global south, they've come out elevated, for better or worse. The economic costs for Iran are significant, but it would be incomplete reporting, which is the reporting you'll get in the West. It will be incomplete reporting from myself to leave out the fact that this 12-day tussle with Israel does not come without some Iranian upsides. Next, we'll talk about the effect on Israel. For the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one.